and welcome to the show. I'm your co-host, Lisa, and this is Erica. And we're here today to blow your mind with mind frequencies. Okay, and today's topic, Erica is going to start us off with her deep thoughts. Erica, what are your deep thoughts? What's our topic for today? You've had so many amazing experiences lately that I'm really excited to hear about all of them, but I want to hear what's top of mind for you today.
Hi. Okay. So you've really opened me up to the world of consciousness and kind of different types of consciousness and the collective consciousness, which is also just one thing, and yet it's like an infinite amount of things at the same time. It's so cool. And thanks to you, I've been watching some of these documentaries on specifically extraterrestrial life and encounters and things like this. And because of some of the things I've been experiencing lately, which have to do with technology, specifically light fixtures, fans, and telephone capturings of things, I'm starting to think, and I've never really thought about this before. And it's one of those things that on one hand, it's like mind blowing. On the other hand, it's a duh moment at the same time. And so really the thing I've been thinking about is how technology, which I've always kind of thought of as a human evolution thing, that, okay, that's a thing we do, but that has nothing to do with, spirituality and consciousness and stuff. And yet, after watching these documentaries and things and learning more and kind of opening my mind more, I'm like, wait a second. I think this is going to help us on the path toward, which is kind of that duh. Well, yeah, like we are evolving in so many different ways, and technology is a way we're evolving, which is related to the evolution of our consciousness. Because right, go ahead. Yes.
No, I was just saying that's really interesting. Yeah.
So, and I think the thing that, I forget sometimes that it's not an or world that we live in. So like for me, when I'm having these moments with light fixtures buzzing and blinking and fans spontaneously going on by themselves, somebody might say, oh, that's just an electrical, whatever, thing that just happened. And it has, and I'm like, no, it's this other thing. It's this, the whatever is talking to me. Well, why isn't it both? Why can't it be both?
Yeah.
So that's kind of,
yeah, you're a person of and. Yes.
And so I'm like, oh, because all this time I'm like, no, you're wrong. It's not just the electrical thing. Well, for them, or for whoever might say that it is, yeah, maybe that's just all it is, and that's okay. And for me, now I'm like, wait, maybe it's both. And there's no, and so this part, this has kind of been top of mind for me, like stewing over, so this thing that I captured on video. And
I just want to interject for just a minute for our audience. Back up. You were talking to, we'll say, people on the other side, specifically your mother, and she was communicating through blinking of light switches, turning on fans, to specific questions that you were asking. So just wanted to catch the audience up there for that. And then you said you had an experience where you were filming some, we'll say, land, for a better word.
Yeah, I was filming my son's game. Yeah, right. I was out. We were outside, and it was a beautiful evening. The sun was starting to set, and yeah, I was filming his game, because this was the first lacrosse game he's ever played. So it's kind of exciting. And I captured, and only I saw it. It was only on video. It wasn't, when I looked away from the camera, I couldn't see it. But on the video, I captured this little green, like, kind of sphere looking thing that was sort of bouncing around. And at first, and again, here's the thing, right? So one person who sees it might say, oh, that's just maybe a reflection or just some sort of, weird thing, technology, whatever. And then I took a picture of it, because it was more clear when I wasn't recording. When I captured the picture, it just kind of really was glowing. And I can share video and images.
Yeah, that'll be our video editor will be splicing that in for those who are watching this video and not listening.
Look at that.
Yeah, and I saw it myself. And one thing I wanted to note is that when your camera moved, it didn't move in sync with the camera. So it didn't look like to me like a reflection that was caused by the angle of the flat part of the camera. It looked like it was independently doing what it wanted to do, and your camera was moving the way it was moving. So they weren't related. Not to say that, again, for the person who thinks it's a reflection, fine. But for those of you who want to believe, it was definitely something different. I will say that for sure.
Agreed. And this is where, I was standing there and someone was standing next to me and he was looking at it along with me and he's like, "What is that?" And I said, at the moment I was like, for me, because I have I have a certain way of looking at the world, I immediately felt like this is clearly, a different kind of consciousness. And for me, I like to think of it in terms of my mom, even though I do believe, I could call it mom, I could call it whatever, call it God, call it consciousness, source, whatever, these things are all, they're different and they're the same at the same time. But for me, because I derive meaning from, I had a very close human relationship with my mom. And so when I think of her, I feel loved and I feel love, in general. So I like to think of this as a piece of my mom showing herself to me, right? Which connects me to the conscious world, whatever you want to call it. In any case, so he's saying, he's like, maybe that's just a reflection. And I said, or maybe it's my mom. This person knows of my mom very well. So he said, "Oh, okay, yeah, so I knew though, kind of probably deep down, he was probably like, yeah, that's just a reflection. That was his feeling. And that's okay. I'm kind of at a point now where I'm working through this feeling of feeling the need to maybe try to convince those close to me, which I know I don't have to do. This has kind of also been top of mind, my own personal journey with all of this stuff and all these cool things that are happening and wanting more of that. But also, maintaining relationships I've had for a long time with people that may not be in the same place that I'm at right now. And so, or maybe, and maybe some of those relationships will go away. And
my work computer is also wanting to get involved.
See, technology, right?
Technology,
totally.
Bing, bing, yeah.
Bing. So these have been the thoughts. Do you have any thoughts, Miss Lisa?
I do. I like that I think what we've noticed from watching documentaries, talking to you, and any of our followers who might be watching, that trying to say that you see things differently, no matter what it is, whether it's really out there, pun intended, where it's aliens or different dimensions or states of consciousness or God or Buddha or whatever. It's Jesus, like it's Jesus, we saw Jesus. And so I sort of feel like having it's all more about courage to say, this is my experience, not making others wrong for their experience, which is what you're saying, essentially, which is they can also believe that, and that's great. I think because we're pack animals, I think we're so afraid of judgment that I think when you start to see the world differently than you did, and it's a smaller and smaller crowd as you go, and it's difficult to sort of, I guess, gain the courage and be able to like express yourself when you want to. My whole life has been this, so I'm just used to either A, being weird, or B, having my own world in my head and not really worrying about what I think about. Like, I think when I met you several years ago, I would walk by a tree and I'd be like, it's like I was practically, the tree was like tapping me on the shoulder in terms of the energy. And I was just like, felt really connected to the tree. Yes. And I'm like, and it was just one specific tree. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't even looking at it. I wasn't like, I need to connect with it. I was walking downtown Boulder, Colorado. So I think what's tricky about this is you're like, okay, am I crazy? Am I weird? Am I trying to be weird or special? And believe me, the fact that we're even podcasting is weird for me. I'm like, I don't want to be special. I don't want to, we're all special. We're all facets of the awesome. So, but I think, like we said before, it's more about, okay, if you're suddenly at Hogwarts, you're going to feel more included in your magical abilities than, if you're Harry living at the Dursleys. So I think it's that feeling that you're maybe talking about, if I'm not incorrect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. And that's exactly it. I think, I'm really talking about fear, when it boils down to is
Yeah.
we've all experienced fear in some form. And
not me. I don't know what you mean.
Except for this.
It doesn't compute. Yeah.
And I think that whatever it is that we're afraid of, that I feel like that makes us even more human, which is cool, because I think those things, if we can work through them, is what pushes us to evolve. Yeah, you're absolutely right. By the way, I just want to comment when you had told me about this tree and I forgot about that. I will say that you
back in the early days when we were sort of talking this stuff.
Yeah, like you've got these amazing natural gifts. You're the one who really opened my eyes up to all of this stuff. You are the only one. I mean, there have been other people along the way that have, opened me up to really cool stuff, but you have consistently, above everyone else, and you have some super awesome abilities. And I know, like you say, we all do, but I think I think they're all different. And I think if we all embrace the own stuff that, we contribute to this collective consciousness, that's what'll make us all move forward. For example, my Greg, my partner, he's a ridiculously good builder, and he's an engineer. I've never met anyone with his kind of gift. He sees things in a way that I don't even know how. He's really a spectacular engineer and builder. That is one of his really strong gifts. And without people like him in this world, we wouldn't have houses, we wouldn't have buildings. And so I super appreciate, that kind of gift that may not necessarily be, in these kinds of topics we're talking about, but I recognize we all have the things. And I think if we all see them and own them, then we can move forward.
Yeah. Well, now what you're bringing up is a question of value. So unfortunately, every society has different values on what's valuable to them, what gifts are valuable to them, which is why teachers get paid nothing. And, those who entertain us, sports entertainment, people who, we'll name all the, not just that, but
get paid everything.
Who runs a factory dumping chemicals in a river.
CEOs of corporations that do what?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And let's say, industry and economy and creativity is all part of that. A lot of balance. But I think that when you live in a culture that doesn't value it, or even a village, let's say, if you're living somewhere where they value your specific gifts that are a little more intangible, I would say, your soft skills, your spiritual skills. Like I have an incredible amount of soft skills and intangible skills.
You do.
Kind of more of a medium skill set in terms of the
intuitive, medium, psychic, all the things.
Yeah. And so I think what's difficult is, it's not valued. And then in order to get people to value it, you have to tell them you're missing something, you need to be fixed, buy my thing, buy my book, blah, 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 to learn how to be better at relationships or better, like things that I'm good at. And I think, and I get that people want to share their experiences and stuff, so do I, but I think it's not just valued as a thing, we need people to help train children how to communicate with each other better. So you get this poor teacher that's just trying to manage the animals, and not someone that's like, hey, let's work on conflict resolution as 5-year-olds.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? When I have no rational thinking yet, like, you know, okay, let's jump to 7 or 8-year-old because they're still wild animals, but by the time they're older, you know, and they're learning that from their parents who probably, you know, half of them clearly suck because the world is how it is right now. And
You know, you could have said the world and stopped, and I totally, yes.
yeah, because the world.
Because the
And
world.
yeah, so I kind of feel like the key is that you have to value it yourself and drop the fear that it's not, you're going to be laughed at or valued or whatever, or unvalued or whatever. And what do we want, Erica? We want other amazing people to stand up and be amazing.
Yes.
You know, and don't rub your shit in other people's face. Like, don't try and convince anybody of anything ever. People will come to whatever they want. Don't try and convince me of anything.
Yeah, that's
even
all
if
about.
it's the right thing. That's the thing I've noticed is that there are so many right things to be doing, and people just don't want to hear it. Like, they don't want to hear that is such the wrong choice. You know? Like, they just don't. You just go do your bad self. Obviously, prevent people from killing each other, but you know, but just even things like if your neighbor is like really making a lot of garbage and you're like, why are you doing that? You could be not doing that, but they just do or something, you know, like,
Yeah. Or
I don't know.
People
Like,
who complain and you're like, well, I see the solution, that a possible avenue of getting yourself out of this, but people aren't always in the right space to hear. And really it's an individual journey, you know, as we've learned. It's like, okay, I mean, even I've been in situations where, you know, in retrospect, I'm like, oh my God, somebody did say that 5 years ago, but only now am I understanding what they were trying to say. Because now I'm in a place to hear it. You know, whereas before it's like, you know, I don't even know what you're talking about. You're speaking Greek. I don't understand. Stop talking. So, but yeah, it is. I think it's hard for you and I, because as we've discussed, I think we intuit things. We kind of get this knowing, this feeling, and all this information that tells us what a possible, you know, solution could be for some, you know, an avenue that might be helpful for someone. And not people aren't always, and I think this is why I love kind of where we're going now, is we're like, all right, that's a side note for now, because whatever, we already know that we're good. Let's just explore this other stuff that will help drive our own lives in the right direction, you know?
Which brings me to the next maybe subtopic is how, because I feel like I'm a bad meditator. Like, I cannot calm my ferret mind. I have tried. And the only time I was listening to Eckhart Tolle, and he was saying something like, the reason pets are good is that they stop you from thinking when you're kind of connecting with them. Like,
I
mean, you're thinking, but you're not like aggressively thinking, you know, like you're kind of, because they're not thinking.
They're just being.
They're kind of being more than they're thinking. And
they're instinctually living their lives.
And so I was like, maybe that's why I like animals. But I think the thing is I feel, especially after watching that movie called Gods Among Us, which I have to admit, I did laugh when people started speaking in alien languages. Because I was like, okay, I'm not sure that I believe it, but I also was laughing. I'm sorry. I believe it.
Hey, it's all good.
But I was also laughing.
This is one of my favorite parts.
I watch next week. I'll be like, here's my alien language.
Alien.
It'll be like total karma. I'll get visited all the language and I'll be like, now people will laugh at me. But I was laughing at it, but I thought, okay, you either have to get abducted by aliens in order to get all these things, or if you're not going to get abducted by aliens, but you want to have other gifts like being psychic, or Caroline Corey has, healing energy, all these groovy things. And you can learn from other people, but I tell you, meditation and quieting the mind is the foundation of all that stuff. Every time this is why I haven't learned anything, because every time I go take a class, I'm like, now meditate all the time. I'm like, God damn it.
See you later.
Bye, Felicia.
Money back. Money back guarantee.
Yeah. And so I never do it because I mean, I tried, but it's like, it feels like a fool's errand. And so I was wondering if you had any advice, even though you're supposed to like, yes, serve or do things, be in the present moment, but that doesn't help you concentrate in order to like move energy around your body or pick up the signals or all the things you're supposed to do after you've stilled your, got to the still point. So my hope, I was asking the aliens I'm like, could you just come and give me some training on how to do this better? Because I feel like that's my massive obstacle to life. And I was wondering if you had thoughts about helping me.
I have
And
two
maybe,
thoughts. I have two
maybe others.
thoughts.
Okay.
One of them is I'm wondering if maybe for me, meditation it means different things for different people. It doesn't have to look like what 90% of the world is doing when it comes to meditation. And I wonder if for you, and I don't even know if I don't think meditation is the only avenue. I know that it's not the only avenue. And I'm wondering if perhaps, it's a very common, we keep seeing it over and over, and it seems to be this common way of quieting the mind and opening the things and opening doors for, where we want to go. But you have I feel like you're almost like in a way past it almost. I'm wondering, if you're almost, you don't actually need the meditation, which might be why you have a hard time doing it. Cause it's like, maybe,
I'm above the law.
You might be above the law. Yeah, you might be above the law. And so I'm wondering, okay, maybe the challenge now is figuring out what is the way for you. And part of me thinks this whole this easy world notion that you have introduced me to, that popped in my head like, well, easy world. Okay, what is the easy way for you? And I'm going to say the second thing I'm going to say is my dad. I had a really awesome conversation with my dad yesterday. He was out of town for like 2 weeks and he came back. And so we always kind of have this awesome, what do you call it? I can't remember the word. Anyway, we had a really great conversation because my dad's into this stuff too. And he's super geeked about what we're doing. Anyway, he was saying, he's been reading this book. I don't even know what it's called. But he was saying this idea that this woman who had an out-of-body or a near-death experience, and she was kind of redefining out-of-body experience. And she was saying that for her, it's not like really leaving your body. What you're doing is you're bringing the universe to you. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting, and which really resonated because I know that we have access to all the things in here. We just have to figure out how to access that stuff.
Okay, so access. So think in terms of access.
Think in terms of access.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if there's something I feel like somehow for some reason that popped in my head, and I feel like there's something related there with how you can do it. And I guess maybe the thing is thinking of meditation differently, or maybe just throwing the idea of meditation out the window and just you do the Lisa thing to get where you need to go, because the things that you have access to naturally, which is the psychic, medium, channeling, I'm missing so many words, intuitive, the high levels of sensitivity, talking to trees, talking to, dead people, healing, like all the things that you didn't have to go to school to learn. You didn't have to consult some guru to learn how to do these things. It's much more close to the surface for you than it is for most people. And so I'm wondering if that's somewhere in there, like you have the things already, and perhaps it's just thinking about it differently in order for you to, like, maybe meditation's just not your thing, and that's cool. It's all good.
I like the idea of it, but it's quieting the mind. I think and I don't think of so much as meditation as like trying to get to like a stillness in the mind.
Yeah.
Which I may have experienced for about 1 to 2 seconds in my entire lifetime. So I'm like, okay. But I know I'm a big fan of Eckhart Tolle, and I know there's reality is not your thinking. And so I'm like, okay. So, I'll get there. I'll report back. I love your perspective on this though, because yeah, there's got to be a way. But I also feel like calmness is a goal, though. Like,
Cool.
for everybody. I just feel like everybody's whipped up, and it's like, just
In some
chill.
cool way.
So maybe the more I chill, the more it will be. So like, yeah, I'm not meditating, I'm chilling. It's totally different.
Yeah, which I feel like
Chilling is how you get to access psychic powers. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I think chilling is, to me, that is a, it could be seen as a form of meditation, just chilling. My dad, he says his form, he goes out on walks and listens to like new agey music, and he feels kind of one with the
I love your dad
or
so much.
whatever.
We're gonna have to have Nick on this.
Oh, yes, we are.
Oh my
yes,
God.
we are.
I think it's gonna get fun when he comes in here.
So
He's
fun.
gonna be our special guest all the time.
It's like, do you ever watch what is that? Oh my gosh, the Four Impractical Jokers. I mean, I don't really, have you seen this? It's like, yeah, no, it's like seventh grade boy humor, which, not to diss seventh grade boys or Impractical Jokers or anybody who watches it.
No.
It's but it's, it's I know it because the guys in my house enjoy it. And it's this four like childhood friends who grew up together, went to school together, and they just basically do practical jokes with one another, and they film all of things.
They've manifested their dream job.
They have manifested their dream job. And there is and there's a recurring guy. One of the guys' dads is like on it a lot because he's just like, and he's hilarious. Anyway, I'm like, yeah, it's gonna be like, okay.
That's awesome. Yes. Yeah. I'm trying to picture your dad with Enya in all the time, like just walking, has like a quick pace, but then has Enya. If you like went inside, it's like, totally. Awesome. And I love, and who doesn't love Enya? I mean, you can't not love Enya. Like, come on. And the best thing about, here's fun facts about Enya. I don't think she's ever given a show or done a tour ever. Like, she just didn't have to, because she was that awesome.
She's Enya.
I get to hang out in my house. I mean, some people probably like touring. I would find that exhausting.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. Although maybe billions of screaming fans would change my mind. I don't know. Because maybe you're like, oh no, this is way cooler. I'll do this. It's fine. Okay, I have a final question for you.
Yes.
Since you had your own, so in 1 week, you had several communications from the other side, including a green light ball that in green is the color of your mother, as you've intuited and seen in your third eye, mind's eye, my third eye. You've seen a couple documentaries giving you new information about different types of contact, different ways of contact. What's kind of your like big idea for yourself? Like, in the coming days, like where is your consciousness headed, or what are you thinking about all that? Like,
yeah, so I've been, thank you for the question. I have been really excited, and I think I said this in a separate podcast, or maybe I just said it to you, but I've noticed that when I'm in the zone is when these things happen. When there's a heightened level of joy and excitement, that I'm feeling, is when these things happen. And so I'm determined to continue to get in those spaces more often, where they kind of become the norm for me, because I'm genuinely geeked about just having access. I want to learn more about this stuff. I want to just be in it. I want to be in it. It's not enough anymore to just kind of know that it's maybe there. I'm super excited about getting more into it. And I will say that your what you said, kind of what we started talking about, that fear of not having the courage to kind of step into it because of fear of what other people might think or say. I think, to your point, I want to kind of join, and you said it, like, download the apps for these communities. Just kind of start joining these communities and meeting like-minded people. I think will kind of build the bravery in me. So those are kind of the next steps I'm thinking. Just immerse myself more in this stuff is kind of what I'm thinking. Think about it, being at more.
Sorry. Sorry, my battery's gonna die. So I was like,
pluggy.
Holy crap. So
what do you think? Where are you, by the way? Where are you at with just in general? Like
what you just said, I think the key thing,
okay,
which is it happens when you're in states of joy. And I need to put myself in those states of joy more often. I'm a happy person, but I also get, worky, thingy, the lists. Oh my God. The text. Oh my God, all the things.
Totally.
Okay. So probably it's called slow down, have more fun.
I love it.
Which is my advice for everybody. Yeah. And in closing, I want to say, what is the advice my advice for everybody is slow down, have more fun. Is that also your advice, or do you have a different advice?
I think that's the thing. Slow down, have more fun. And if you're asking how do I do that? I think slow down is sort of equivalent to, okay, when you slow down, you can really see your life more clearly and you can figure out what you really don't need to do. You really don't need to do all the things. You can slowly start to let go of certain things and don't try to let it all go at once. It's not going to work that way. It could for some, but most of us, it doesn't work that way. So like baby step out of things that you can let go of, day to day, week to week, month to month. And you'll start to see that you have more time for the joy. Replace little things with the joyful stuff. And over time, you'll build that joy. So I'm 100% with you. I agree.
Yay. I love it. Thank you for that. And really good breakdown of how that works, because it's sort of like not lip service, like, what? It's like, hey, here's how you do it. Thank you for this wonderful day, you beautiful soul and beautiful woman. And thank you to listeners. And thanks for joining us. We want to hear how you want to connect with bigger, better things and all that.